Once again, a very warm welcome to Africa Live. Let's begin with breaking news from the Middle East. Israel says Iran's Esfahan and Natanz nuclear sites were significantly damaged in strikes by the Israeli military, adding that 9 senior nuclear Iranian scientists have also been killed. Israel targeted Iran's air defenses and missile launchers on Saturday, aiming to dismantle its military power after a night of mutual attacks. Iranian state TV reported on Saturday that around 60 people, including 20 children, were killed in an Israeli attack on a Tehran housing complex. Iran says ongoing nuclear talks with the United States are meaningless after the Israeli attacks, adding that it is yet to decide on whether to attend planned talks on Sunday. Well, for more, we are joined by Essan Kavani in Tehran and Jonathan Regev in Tel Aviv. Gentlemen, welcome to Africa Live. Thank you for joining us. Let's start with you, Essan. Essan, what is the latest on the Israeli bombardment of Tehran? What do we know?
Thank you, Richard. Well, last night we had extensive attacks by Israel on Iran's capital, Tehran, and the exchange of fire between Israeli projectiles and Iran's defense system, air defense system, continued 2 or 3 hours after the midnight in Tehran. But today, throughout the Saturday, which was a religious holiday in Iran, we didn't notice a remarkable attack by Israel, according to some unconfirmed reports. Around the noontime in southeast of the capital, Tehran, an explosion was heard, but generally we didn't have anything noticeable. As you mentioned, yesterday evening in Tehran, a residential complex was attacked by Israel, in which another two top IRGC commanders were killed, and because that was a residential building, a lot of civilians were also killed or injured during the attack. What I would like to add is that today, different facilities across the country were targeted again by Israel. We had reports that some natural gas production facilities in south of Iran and Ushat province was attacked by Israel, and the production of natural gas has been affected. Richard.
Essan, I guess the question on everyone's mind is, what kind of retaliation are you expecting?
Well, according to what we see here, the supreme leader of the country, who's also the commander-in-chief, has vowed a painful and crushing response to Israel this time. So, based on what we see here, it is expected that Iran's reaction would continue, as today more barrages of missiles, ballistic missiles, were fired again from Iran to Israel, according to reports. And what Iranian military officials emphasize is that their stockpile of ballistic missiles is big enough so that Iran can fire ballistic missiles to Israel for several days. This is what the military officials have emphasized.
All right, let's bring in Jonathan Regev. Jonathan Regev is standing by. Essan, thank you for that. Jonathan, Israel says it has attacked more than 150 targets in Iran. What more can you tell us? What do we know?
A wide array of targets attacked in Iran. The attack began actually on the night between Thursday and Friday. First and foremost, the first targets were actually was the top echelon of the Iranian army, whether it's the chief of staff, the head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, and all of the top official of the Iranian general staff. Then the next ones were the top echelon of Iran's nuclear scientists. All the top nuclear scientists were killed, and only then began a third wave, which targeted the nuclear sites themselves. Then the next wave targeted the ballistic missiles. As was mentioned, Iran has been able overnight, on a Friday night, between Friday and Saturday, to fire quite a substantial barrages of ballistic missiles from Iran to Israel. Iran perhaps would have wanted those barrages to be even bigger, even more threatening. But Israel was able in that first strike to take out some of Iran's ballistic missiles. Not all of them. The Iranians have been able to fire some substantial barrages, and as said, and Israel believes that yes, there's still a substantial number which Iran has and plans to fire. These are the main targets. Also targeted, apart from more and more nuclear sites, is also Iran's aerial defense, which was practically taken off. And we've heard the Israeli chief of staff saying today that the skies for the Israeli jets are practically clear all the way to Tehran, meaning there's not any substantial air defense in Iran as far as Israel knows. These are the targets, these are the sites hit, and as far as Israel is concerned, more and more is planned, more targets, more Iranian nuclear sites in the hope not to bring it down completely. I don't think that Israel has the illusion that it has the ability to bring out completely the Iranian nuclear program, but at least slow it considerably.
Well, on top of what you've just mentioned, the Israeli defense minister warns that Tehran will burn if they continue striking Israel. What more can you tell us on this, and how is the situation now after Iran's strike?
Yes, so this comes due to the fact that Israel sees that Iran targeted Israeli civilian sites. What Israel says is that Israel did not plan to kill random Iranian people, did not fire at civilian infrastructures, but was targeting only military personnel and military sites. And once Iran retaliated by targeting civilian areas such as the city of Ramat Gan, for example, just outside of Tel Aviv, and other Tel Aviv suburbs, and Tel Aviv itself, residential areas in the city of Tel Aviv that were hit. According to the defense minister, Israel Katz, the response should be perhaps targeting civilian sites in Tehran, and that is why his statement came saying if Tel Aviv is hit, if residential areas in Israel are hit, Tehran will burn. It has to be said that Israel was planning to continue with its strikes anyway. They would have happened even without the Iranian response.
All right, Jonathan Regev in Tel Aviv, Israel, thanks for that. And of course, Essan Kavani in Tehran, Iran, much appreciated. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has held a phone call with his Iranian counterpart, Sayed Abbas Araghchi. Araghchi briefed Wang on the latest regional developments and expressed hope that the international community would speak with one voice against the Israeli onslaught. He thanked China for its consistent understanding and support of Iran's position. He also expressed confidence that China will play an even more important role in promoting regional peace and stability. For his part, Wang said that China condemns Israel's violation of Iran's sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity, and firmly opposes the reckless attacks targeting Iranian officials and causing civilian casualties. Wang went on to add that China is willing to maintain communication with Iran and other relevant parties to continue playing a constructive role in de-escalating the situation. Wang Yi also spoke to his Israeli counterpart Gideon Saar over the phone on Saturday. In the phone call, Wang said China firmly opposes Israel's use of force against Iran in violation of international law. He added there is still room for a diplomatic solution to the Iranian nuclear issue, as military means cannot deliver lasting peace. Well, there has been widespread international condemnation, with many countries denouncing Israel's assault as a violation of international law and Iran's sovereignty. Russian President Vladimir Putin condemned Israel's actions, saying they violated the UN Charter and international law. Putin told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of his readiness to mediate to prevent further escalation. A UN spokesperson says the Secretary General condemns any military escalation in the Middle East and is particularly concerned by Israeli attacks on nuclear installations in Iran. The Turkish Foreign Ministry urged Israel to halt actions that could lead to greater conflicts. South Africa, Japan, Indonesia, and Pakistan have also condemned Israel's airstrikes.
So almost every single Arab country has condemned and rejected Israel's attacks on Iran. Many countries in the region have warned against the repercussions of this war that could have on the stability of the Middle East, also putting threat on vital movements like trade and threatening the safety of civilians. The Arab League, as a representative of the Arab body, has called for the international community to immediately and decisively intervene to defuse the tension. Countries like Iraq say they officially made a complaint to the UN Security Council against Israel, and a country like Oman, which has been and still is hosting talks between the United States and Iran for the Iranian nuclear deal, says that such attacks jeopardizes all global efforts put to achieve peace. Countries like Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon have all opened their airspace, which is an indication that they're not expecting massive threats or breach to their airspace. Also, Iraq is expected to open up its airspace within this coming hour. There has been frustration by Jordan, saying it will not allow its airspace to be breached, and has reported shooting down projectiles flying over its airspace. So there are fears that with the extensive threats coming out from both Israel and Iran, that these countries may suffer as they being forcefully cut out of the world by shutting down their airspace.